The story begins with John, a philosophical arts graduate who is quite talented, but currently has no job. So, he helps out at his parents' food shop, but as expected, he doesn't really want to work. He says he is looking for a philosopher-type job, but he still hasn't found a job yet. Early in the morning, his parents send him out for a delivery. He goes reluctantly, but agrees because of the promise of an extra bonus. John reaches a swimming pool where he meets a small child who cannot hear him. However, John explains that along with his studies, he also knows sign language. Because of this, he easily reaches the place where he has to deliver the food. But, before making the delivery from a distance, he sees a girl running near the pool with a beautiful smile. John is completely captivated by her and starts watching her every movement. Just then, the swimming girl's teacher interrupts him. John completes his work and then pauses for a few seconds to ask a swimmer about that girl. He wants to know the name of the girl who was with the swimmer, but the swimmer is quite smart. She just jokes with him and leaves him talking to himself. When John returns to the shop, his mood is completely changed. He doesn't seem like the same person anymore, as if he has become someone new. Now, he wants to help his parents, so he goes out for another delivery. And by a strange coincidence of life, after one delivery, he hears that someone's bike has broken down. When he turns to look, it's the same girl from the pool. John is quite surprised and shyly tries to help her. When he can't start the bike, he offers her his motorcycle. The girl is getting late for her class, so she accepts the offer. But, before leaving, she takes John's number and promises to return his bike. It feels like luck is on John's side because what he had been asking the swimmer for earlier, he has now received. Then, the girl rides away on the motorcycle. After some time, John reaches his friend Jin's workshop and asks him to repair the bike as quickly as possible. Without wasting time, John starts practicing sign language, which he had learned a long time ago. It seems his friend understands him, too. On the other hand, the girl whose name is Room, reaches her international sign language class. She seems like a very serious and focused student because she doesn't touch her phone all day and answers her teacher's questions perfectly. Meanwhile, John gets tired of sending her repeated messages. After classes, Room meets her younger sister Gull. The two talk about their dream as swimmers, which is to reach the Olympic Games. Room promises her sister that they will definitely go abroad, but her sister is not completely sure about it. The next morning, Room wakes up early, wakes her sister, prepares Gull's things and her own bag. She also takes out breakfast from the fridge. Then she finds her phone, which is full of John's messages. Room is not a bad person, so she apologizes and agrees to meet him later. What John wanted finally happens, and now he has to get ready for their meeting. So, he gets up and washes Room's bike. Finally, the moment arrives, but John doesn't perform very well. He tries to convince Room that she doesn't need to give him anything, just tell him her name and become his friend. But then he doesn't know what else to say. Room buys coffee for him so they can drink together, but John mostly just keeps looking at her. Room is a very busy girl because she both works and studies, so she leaves soon. John then returns to his work. His parents notice that John is behaving quite strangely. Their concern increases when the next morning John wakes up early and prepares a very tasty lunch. Both his friend and his parents are impressed because for the first time John is doing something on his own. Actually, the previous evening John had talked to Room and noticed that she was busy. So, he has only one mission, to take a good lunch for Room. Room enjoys the lunch and John refuses to take payment from her, but Room insists that he accept the money. So, when John returns to the shop, his pocket is full of cash. His mother suspects that there is a girl behind her son's happiness, but John refuses to tell anything. The next day, John continues to quietly involve himself in the sisters' lives, but this time he decides to secretly defend them. Some women didn't want Gull's swimming team to use the pool because they believed somehow that their children might catch deafness. This idea is completely illogical. John doesn't interfere directly at that moment. He waits for that woman in the parking lot and tells her several harsh truths. Besides that, he also takes her photos, but he doesn't stop there. He even files a complaint with the authorities because the woman had parked her car in a spot reserved for disabled people. After some time, John talks to Room to understand how she really is. Room is not actually okay. Money is not enough for them, and it feels like the world is against them. Knowing that the sisters went through a bad moment, John decides to take them to a club. There, he buys them some drinks and teaches them how to feel the music by placing their hands on the speakers. The moment becomes magical and they all have a really good time. Later, the three of them walk back together and Gaul leaves John and Room alone because she understands that there is some chemistry between them. But before leaving, she thanks John because of him, she was able to forget what happened that morning. When John drops Room home, she feels a little restless. She has received many gifts from John and he never wants her to pay him back. So, to return at least something for what he spent, Room lies and says her sister wants to give him some money. This makes Gaul upset because giving 50,000 won is a lot of money for their financial situation. But a few drinks help the sisters forget their money problems for a while. Gaul asks Room what kind of relationship she has with John. Room says she sees him as a friend, but Gaul knows the boy sees her as something more. Since Gaul is tired, she goes to sleep while her sister keeps messaging John. Room asks him what song he would like to hear in summer. John doesn't know what to say and tries to write that he would like to hear her voice, but then he only jokes and says goodbye to her. The next day, all three wake up early. John wakes up to deliver some orders while the sisters wake up because they have to travel quite far from where they live. Because of problems with the neighbors, the swimming team has changed its practice location. After weeks of waiting, the competition that can bring Gaul closer to the Olympics finally arrives. Both sisters are excited and Gaul surprises everyone. Without hesitation, she gives it her all, breaks her own record and finishes in first place only 1 second away from the national record. Happy with such a great result, the sisters hug each other and Gaul gives her medal to Room. Her victory is because of her effort. Later, they share the good news with John. He congratulates Gaul and wants to invite them for drinks, but Room strongly refuses. However, her sister convinces her. Still, the winner stays at home while the little couple goes out to the park. Before leaving for his date, John asks his friend Jean to deliver an order to a somewhat annoying customer. He repeats 3 times that Jean should be careful and then lets him go. After a while, Jean reaches the house and we discover that the customer is none other than Gaul. The same thing happens to Jean that happened to his friend because he falls in love at first sight. On the other side, John and Room walk through the park talking about their parents, life, and dreams. When John asks Room if she has any dream, she doesn't know what to answer, so she asks him for advice. But even John cannot tell her clearly what he wants. Near the river, John promises her something. He will find his reason to live together with her. With a slightly shy smile, Room accepts it. Before returning home, she thanks him for being so kind and for helping her break out of her routine. However, all the beautiful moments she lived with John are pushed aside when she finds out that the building where they live is on fire. Gaul tried to escape through the elevator, but she got stuck until a man managed to get her out. But because she inhaled too much smoke and it affected her health, she is taken to the hospital. Room finds out what happened right when John was about to confess his feelings. So she leaves him there and runs to the clinic. There, Room says things she should not have said. She says she should not have been wasting her time and should have been taking care of Gaul. And when she hears Gaul minimizing the fire, Room gets angry because instead of worrying about her health, Gaul is more worried about taking part in the remaining competitions. For now, Gaul is sure she can still attend and tries to convince Room. After some time, John's messages appear on Room's phone, but she decides not to answer him. She stays like this for several days until John comes near her building to ask for an explanation. Before continuing, it is important to mention that the sisters also become distant. Gaul doesn't want Room to accompany her anymore and leaves it written for her. John tries to talk to Room to understand what happened, but Room doesn't want to continue speaking with him. So she asked him to end their friendship. Room refuses to tell him the truth, which is that she doesn't want to neglect her sister's health because of going out with him to the park. John accepts his friend's request and with tears in his eyes, he watches her leave. By the way, he had been happy because she had thanked him for being her friend. Later, Room sees the consequences of Gaul inhaling smoke for several minutes. Her sister's performance is no longer at its best. Because of this, Gaul decides to step back and leave the competitions. Her sister's dream disappears from one moment to the next. The reason for studying and working no longer exists. Gall gets angry with Room because she sees her because of the decision she made. Gall even scolds her for only thinking about Gall's future and ignoring her own interests. Just like John, Gall asks Room what her dream is, but once again, Room does not know what to answer. She only says that her current wish was to take Gall to the Olympics. Angry Gall leaves, but before going, she tells Room that she feels bad for failing her. Without her sister and without her friend, Room visits her parents. There, she receives a big lesson. Helping does not always feel like help. Sometimes it can look like pity. The girl's parents try to make their elder daughter understand that she should let things flow and also care about her own life. Meanwhile, John is lying in bed thinking about his one-sided love. Jean appears to ask him about Room's sister, but when he finds out that Room is the person making his friend suffer, he feels bad for him. John's mother also feels sorry for him, so she talks to him and tries to understand. John reveals that a girl has made him this way, but he does not speak badly about Room at all. He only explains that the love between sisters separated them. Returning to Room, she accepts her mother's advice and promises to pay more attention to her personal life and remove the negative thoughts about her disability. Room returns to the city ready to apologize, but unexpectedly, Gall does the same. Gall tries to explain that she now wants to do everything on her own. She knows it will be difficult, but she needs to experience it. Last but not least, she talks to Room about John. She knows he is a good boy and asks Room not to give up on him. It is time for Room to think about her own life and not make Gall feel like a burden. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, John surprises his parents. He has become the same lifeless person from the beginning again. He leaves, but he has a plan to try to understand the world in which the girls live. For this, he wears headphones and walks without fear of what might happen. After walking for a few minutes, he discovers that everything feels empty and that he needs someone to move safely through the street. Experiencing a little of what they live through makes him take a big decision to go and see Room. He looks for her at the swimming pool and there he speaks to the girl he loves. He wants to stay by her side. He knows he may have been a little intrusive and that sometimes he made her uncomfortable, but he wants to see her smile because he loves her smile. He loves spending time with her and more than anything, he wants to take care of her the way she takes care of her sister. When John is about to confess, Room suspiciously turns around and he stops speaking. She comes closer to him and pushes him into the water. They play together and now John finally tells her, "I like you." He proposes that they change her world. For that, he wants them to spend more time together and he invites her to work at his family shop. Even if Room cannot hear them, it will make everything more fun and safe. After a few days, John's family meets the girl he loves, the same girl responsible for making him stop being a meaningless lazy person. His parents are happy to see her and try to communicate with her through notes and the little sign language they know, but all three of them receive a huge surprise. Room can communicate and speak. The family is shocked, but the meeting must continue and John is very, very happy. He also discovers that she could hear him that other afternoon at the pool. By the way, embarrassed, she says, "I like you," to him in sign language, which leaves her future in-laws confused. What happened was just a misunderstanding. Room thought John could not hear her, so she communicated through signs. Later, the couple walks through their favorite place and Room discovers that her now boyfriend learned sign language because of his friend Jean, who had asked him to learn a new language so they could go backpacking. On his side, John understands that the reason his girlfriend did not want to communicate like a normal person was because of guilt and because she wanted to avoid making her family feel excluded. Since she is the only one who can hear and speak without problems, she spent most of her life excluding herself as if she could not hear at all. The couple seals their relationship with a beautiful kiss. By the way, John tells her that meeting her was the best thing that ever happened in his life. While they show their love, John's friend confesses to Gall and that's when it's revealed that he was the one who pulled her out of the elevator. So friends, this beautiful story ends here. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on the bell icon. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.